December 2nd, 2021. Hello, my name is David Talbot. I'm a 29-year-old man. I'm an art enthusiast, and I used to be an art director at an upscale gallery in Toronto. I met my wife Jen in our final year of college when we were both 22. The sparks flew immediately. We were head over heels for each other. We got married at 24, both had very successful careers blooming, bought a house, nice cars, and we're starting to talk about starting a family. About a year ago, my life started to change. At first, it was just restless sleeps, headaches, feeling like a zombie going through the motions of day-to-day life. A lot of it I don't even really remember. It continued and developed into full-blown insomnia, which brought with it auditory and visual hallucinations. The doctors called it paradoxical insomnia psychosis. Basically, I would rarely sleep, but when I did, it felt like a little more than a blink. And because my brain wasn't registering the sleep I was getting, I started seeing things out of the corner of my eye and hearing disembodied voices. It kind of snowballed and I began having blackouts during the day. I would be sitting on the couch, blink, next thing I knew was 10 to 30 minutes later, I would be doing something completely different or having full-blown conversations with someone that wasn't there. Then, it got worse. Hours would blink away, sometimes entire days. People that I thought I met turned out to be solely in my mind. Or I'd see strange people doing strange things, shake my head, and they'd be gone. Because of all this, I started getting insanely angry with my wife. I would flip out over the smallest things or things that never actually happened. I couldn't control myself. Apparently, the times I was blacked out, I was absolutely psychotic. As a result, my wife left me and, well, I haven't heard from her in over 3 months now. But the good news is, I've started seeing a therapist. I'm trying to get better. I'm trying to get my wife back. My therapist recommended that I start keeping an online journal to help with my blackouts and missing time, so this is my first entry. Fuck, I hope this helps. I stopped going to work around the time my wife left, so obviously I lost my job. And I fucking loved that job. We sold our house and I gave the majority of my half to my wife. I kept enough to live comfortably for the next few years and rent this shitty little 2-bedroom basement apartment close to downtown. It's paid in full until September 2023. I don't really need much at all, so I got rid of most of my personal belongings. My bedroom is immaculate. I made my bed that first night and it's still untouched. I haven't really got in there except to change my clothes. The spare bedroom is full of paintings I've either done myself or acquired from the gallery because they just wouldn't sell and sat in the storage room taking up space. There were 2 paintings in particular that, I guess, kind of spoke to me. They were the first 2 I brought home and Jen absolutely hated them. I don't know why I haven't hung anything up here yet, but I think I should. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe the 2 Jen hated so much. Anyways, to keep myself busy, I picked up a night job as a cook at a 24-hour diner. I mean, it's not ideal for someone with my qualifications, but who the hell would hire someone who blacks out and has conversations with non-existent people? I'm not sure what else I should add, so I guess I'll end my first recording here. December 9th, 2021. Hello again. I thought I'd get something recorded tonight. I'm currently at work at the diner and I'm bored out of my mind. I'm not sure if I'm hallucinating or not, but the guy who runs the front at night, Carl, I swear I keep hearing him talking to me. He's saying, horrible things. And every time I catch a glimpse of him, he looks like a different person. His energy is getting darker and darker. I'm pretty sure he's a demon. But then again, I'm batshit crazy, so that must be it. Oh yeah, I hung up a couple paintings in my living room to keep me company during the day. They're the ones that my wife wanted me to get rid of. They're kind of weird, but I love how creepy they are. They make me feel like I'm not the creepiest one in the room. One is of a humanoid goat silhouette. I like it the best because on the back it's written 07 David, and that's my name. The other one is of a young boy with his eyes ripped out, and on the back in the same writing it says 07 Billy. It was way too bright in my apartment this morning. The fucking blinds don't do a damn thing to keep the sunlight out, so I painted the windows black. I'm sure my landlord will be pissed, but I really don't care. I'll just bash his head in if he says shit. Oh, gotta go. I just got an order. December 19th, 2021. It's 6:23 a.m. I just got home from work. I went into my room to change and someone slept in my fucking bed. Yeah, the bed I haven't touched since I moved in. Someone fucking slept in it. I have the next few days off, so tonight I'm gonna wait in the dark. I'm gonna catch whoever's been in my place. David thinks I should just fucking kill them if they try it again. Billy says I shouldn't listen to David, that I should think for myself. Maybe just call the police if I find someone in my apartment. I don't know who to listen to, but the thought of killing someone with my bare hands has me so turned on. Shit. Is that someone knocking on my door? Gotta go. December 20th, 2021. Holy shit, I blacked out. I just came to. I'm covered in blood. I was holding a knife. The worst part is there's a woman in my bed. She's dead. She's so fucking dead. There's blood everywhere. What the hell happened? You finally snapped. There's so many stab wounds to her chest and stomach. Her insides are in the shape of a pentagram on the floor beside my bed. I don't remember catching her in my apartment, but I guess I fucking killed her. Wait, no, I let her in. I remember letting her in and nothing but darkness. Oh God, there's so much blood. I have to get rid of her body. David is telling me to hide it in the crawl space until tonight, then cut her up and dispose of it in the dumpster in the next alley over. I know! That's what I'm doing! Shut up! Oh, they're yelling at me now. Fuck. This is so bad. What the fuck? January 3rd, 2022. Hello again. To be honest, I completely forgot about this online journal thing. I guess I should update some things. Let's see. Work is still boring as hell, but I've been getting a lot of reading done. My therapist thinks I'm looking healthier and doing great. Honestly, I'm feeling a lot better. And I met a girl a couple weeks ago. Her name is Jennifer. It's funny, she spent the night and we had a great time. Wink, wink. It's amazing because I can actually sleep when I'm curled up next to her dead body. She hasn't left my apartment once, and honestly, I don't even really care. I love knowing that she's right there waiting for me to get home. We have so much in common. She loves art just as much as I do, and she talks to David and Billy too. I know she's probably just humoring me, but I love it anyway. This is the start of something great, I can feel it. Oh, there must be a dead rat in the walls or something because my apartment stinks and I can't find the source. Billy says it's Jennifer's rotting body. Can you believe that? I don't know why I let him get in my head with stuff like that. Anyways, I think that's all for now. I'll update soon. January 8th, 2022. The smell in my apartment has gotten worse. I got home today and I puked walking in my front door. I know what it is now. It's Jennifer. The girl I've been seeing, she's fucking dead. Her rotting corpse is mutilated in my bedroom. Thinking back, I can almost remember what happened. Billy kept hinting that she's been dead for so long, I just didn't believe him. I took a couple of knives and some garbage bags from work. I'm gonna get rid of her body tonight. I can't believe this is happening to me. Have I been fucking a dead body? Oh, the thought of that makes me want to puke, but gets me so fucking hard at the same time. What am I becoming? January 9th, 2022. I had to kill him. I had to fucking kill him. There's no other way. He saw me with Jennifer. He saw her dismembered body when I was trying to dispose of it. I had to kill him. It wasn't my fault. He saw my face. He would have gone to the cops. I left his body in the same dumpster I left Jennifer. What the fuck is happening to me? I had to kill them both. I had to send them back to hell where they belong. January 15th, 2022. Fucking therapist thinks she knows what's best for me. No one knows what's best for me. I need to be better about taking my medication. Let's see her talk shit now. Oh wait, you can't talk shit with your throat slit from ear to ear. Bitch. She just joined my other victims in the fiery pits of hell. Shit. How the fuck am I gonna get her body out of here? David would know what to do. February 3rd, 2022. Hello. I don't know how I keep forgetting to update this stupid thing. It's getting kind of bad again. More hallucinations, lots of missing time. I can't remember the last shift I worked, but the paychecks are still coming in, so I must be going. I tried booking an appointment with my therapist, but apparently she's a missing person. I don't know what to do. I'm gonna keep looking for another therapist to talk to. I know now that Jennifer wasn't real. Even though she wasn't, I still miss her. I thought it was gonna be the start of a great relationship. I was actually happy and I was finally sleeping. And the sex, oh god, it was amazing. Maybe that's what I need. I'm gonna go out for a couple drinks tonight and see if I can find someone. If not, I'm not above paying for sex. Maybe it'll help me sleep, who knows. I'll try to update more frequently. February 4th, 2022. It's a little after 3 a.m. I couldn't find anyone at the bar interested in coming home with me, so I said fuck it and I took out some cash and found a call girl. She freaked out when she saw my blood-stained bed. She said she wouldn't go to the cops if I let her leave. I'm not fucking stupid. It was such an obvious lie, so I had to kill her. And that's one more demon sent back to hell. I strangled her so I wouldn't have so much blood to clean up this time. I guess I didn't need to take that money out. I knew I was gonna kill her. We've made love 4 times since she got here, and I'm feeling tired. Like really tired. I'm gonna curl up next to Jennifer and get some sleep. I know, David! Obviously I have to get rid of her. I just need a few good nights sleep first, and then I'll take care of it, okay? February 14th, 2022. Hello. So in my last entry I said that Jennifer wasn't real. I thought maybe I just hallucinated her. Well, she is real. I knew she was. She just had to go away for work or something. She's been back for almost 2 weeks. Tonight I have a really special evening planned for the 2 of us for Valentine's Day. She doesn't want to leave the apartment, so I'm going to make us a special candlelit dinner. She says she has a surprise for me, and thinking about it, I saw a package from a lingerie shop in front of my door the other day, so that's gotta be it. I'm pretty excited for tonight, so wish me luck. Oh, while I'm thinking of it, they found my therapist. It's all over the news. She was fucking murdered. They found her cut up body in a big black contractor garbage bag. The exact same ones we use at the diner, actually. I honestly can't believe it. She was amazing for me. Okay, anyway, I should get back to cooking. I'll update soon. February 20th, 2022. I am a murderer. I've been killing people. 5 people now, including Carl. I don't know why I decided to kill Carl. We came back to my place when we were done work. I told him I had some amazing weed he just had to try, and I knew I was lying, but he didn't. He sat down on my couch in the living room, and I stood there just staring at him. Then I used the back end of a hammer and smashed in his fucking face. He tried to run, but the only way out was the front door. I was laughing hysterically while he pleaded for me to let him go. Silly Carl. You didn't stand a fucking chance, you godforsaken demon. Did you actually think I didn't notice? Did you actually think I could just let you walk the earth like a normal fucking person? You stupid fuck! You're in hell where you belong now! Billy, I know! I'm gonna get rid of her too. The fucking slut stinks to high hell. I can't do it now, David. Are you crazy? If I drag their bodies out now, people will see me for sure. Yeah, I'm taking them tonight. Can you two just shut the fuck up and let me do this? Oh, I'm sorry. Do you have a better way to cut up a body? Fine, why don't you do this then? Oh, I can't do both at the same time. My phone is covered in blood. Fuck this journal. March 10th, 2022. What the fuck was that? I just listened to my last entry and that's not what happened. I haven't killed anyone. I swear it wasn't me. I mean, it was my voice, but I don't know, maybe someone's trying to frame me? I don't know. Carl's not dead, I think. I remember him coming over, but I blacked out. I remember he was there, and then he wasn't. I hit him with the hammer. What? Why did I hit him with the hammer? 'Cause you're a fucking murderer, that's why you did it. Hello? David? How did you get out of the painting? Oh, okay. I'll put it down, please. Just don't hurt me, please. March 15th, 2022. Ugh. A lot is going on right now. I've been talking to Billy. He wants to help me get back in control, but I have to get rid of David. I'm gonna put him back in the spare room, I think. I've killed 3 more people in the last 3 days, and I'm starting to remember everything. All the blackouts are coming back in waves, and I remember now. David was the one telling me to kill, and when I refused, he came out of the paintings and did it himself, and left me to deal with the mess. It's not my fault. It's not my fault. I just have to get rid of David. April 10th, 2022. The last few weeks have been, pretty good. I haven't killed anyone since I put David back in the spare room. Billy is keeping me in line. He's helping me change my life, but I can't help but feel like the worst is yet to come. Like this is a calm before the storm. Every person I see walking down the street, I imagine ways that I could kill them. As sick as it is, I get erections visualizing the murders. I can't help it, but hey, at least I'm in control now. April 29th, 2022. My ex-wife finally agreed to come see me. I shaved for the first time in a long time. I'm going to take her to a restaurant because I don't want her to see the bloody mess that my apartment has become. I really hope she doesn't notice all the weight I've lost. This could go well, but I'm not going to expect that we're going to get back together right away. But hey, at least it's a start for now. Wish me luck. May 3rd, 2022. The date with my wife went pretty well. We went to a really nice Italian restaurant. It was really expensive. We got a little tipsy and took a nice long walk along the waterfront. We smiled and laughed, but all I could think about was how hot it would be to slit her throat and watch her bleed out. Watch the life drain from her eyes as we made love one final time right there on the beach. I couldn't bring myself to do it because of the love I have for her. I wanted to so badly, though. Fuck! She practically begged to come back to my apartment. I could be fucking her dead fucking corpse right now! But I couldn't let that happen. I love her. When I got home tonight, David was hanging in the living room. I blacked out right away, and the next thing I knew was 4 a.m. and I was standing beside a police cruiser with a gun in one hand and a handcuff on the other, and a dead police officer laying in a pool of blood missing the back of his fucking head. No one was around, so I held myself to a handful of brain matter. It tastes a lot better than you would think. I just left him there because fuck it. David's blanketed me from the law, so they won't find me until my work here is done. I will deliver evil to hell. May 18th, 2022. It's 1:38 a.m. My wife just called me. Fuck, ex-wife. She and a few friends are downtown partying tonight. They want a place to hang out for a little bit of an after party. I should have said no, but I gave her my address anyway. They'll be here in a few minutes. Oh, this is such bad timing. David isn't in his canvas and I can't find him anywhere. He's gonna do something bad, I can feel it. I'm gonna kill her friend Joel first, I think. Fucking Joel. I know she's probably fucking him! I want to dig my thumbs deep into his eye sockets and rip his fucking head open! Come on, David, breathe. Come on, breathe. Billy, you have to help me. David's gonna hurt them. Okay, you have to warn me if you see him then, okay? But what if I can't get in control? I know, but he's more powerful than me. You have to fucking stop him. Oh, fuck. They're here. Oh, fuck. May 18th, 2022. Fuck. Fuck. Oh, God. They're all dead. I'm done. I can't do this anymore. It's 2:23 a.m. I did it. I killed Joel first, that smug piece of shit. It felt so good reaching into his head and squishing his brain between my fingers. Oh, God. The girls were absolutely terrified, but they tried to fight me off. That lasted all of 10 seconds until I pulled out my new gun. That shut them up really fucking fast. I always hated Michelle and Shauna, so it was easy to kill them. Michelle, I just shot her in the fucking face, but Shauna? Ooh, Shauna. Amazing body, perfect curves. I took great pleasure in disemboweling her and fucking her body while Jen watched in muted horror. I couldn't help myself. I was just so fucking turned on. I wanted to let my wife live. I really did. I was gonna let her leave, but David showed up. I begged him to let her go, but he said I had to do it. Fuck, I love her. David had her by the neck and told me it was time. One last demon to send back to hell, and then I'm free. I brought the knife to her throat and then noticed Billy had left his painting. He was commanding me to take control, but I fucking couldn't! I tried to stop myself, but it was the only way to be free. It was the only fucking way. I heard the gun go off and I felt a sharp pain in my back and I knew I was hit. I spun around and I saw Michelle aiming the gun at me. I guess I didn't hit anything vital, but I leapt at her and I crushed her head with my knee. It feels so weird feeling a skull crack under your weight, but oh my God, it's so hot. Billy stood in front of me. He was screaming for me to stop, to get in control, but it was too late. David could always yell louder than Billy. I knew what needed to be done. I had to drink the blood of my final victim. I blacked out before I slit her throat. Oh, this place is a fucking mess, but it's finally quiet at least. I feel calm now. I think Jennifer and I are gonna head to bed. May 18th, 2022. It's a little after 4 a.m. Oh, we just had unbelievable sex for over an hour. I feel so fucking tired. I think I'm gonna get some sleep while Billy and David are actually quiet. I love you so much, Jennifer. May 20th, 2022. I just woke up. For the first time in a long-ass time, I actually feel like I'm in control. Billy and David are gone, and I mean gone. The paintings, the frames, everything. There are bodies and blood all over my apartment, so I guess this is it. I had a dream last night, and I don't ever remember my dreams. But this one, I was in hell and all my victims were there. They were ripping me apart, peeling my skin off and feeding it to me. The devil was watching and smiling the whole time. Billy and David were there too. Billy had a look of disappointment on his face, while David looked so proud of my count. 13 demons sent back to hell isn't that bad. 13 people. My first taste of murder, I stabbed a hooker repeatedly and I pulled her intestines out. I wrapped a bag over a man's head and stuck a knife into his chin. I slit the throat of my therapist, I strangled another prostitute, and I lured a co-worker to my place and bludgeoned him with a hammer. I pulled a man out of his car and crushed his head with his own front tire. I pushed a man off an overpass and watched his body tumble and get run over by the cars below. A young woman waiting for the subway painted the front of the train with her face. I shot out the back of a policeman's skull. I ripped Joel's fucking head in two. I shot Michelle in the face, but somehow she survived, so I had to crush her skull after. I savagely tore into Shauna's stomach and fucked her. And finally, I cut open my wife's throat and I drank her delicious, delicious blood. These are all my victims. They're all in hell now, and you or anybody, no one can save them. I'm sorry for everything I've done, but I can't undo any of it. When I'm done this recording, I'll be joining them. I'm really glad I still have that officer's gun. When I'm gone, everyone will know the horrible things I've done and who I am. Who I am. I am one's paranoia. I am another's joke. I am the monster under your bed and the shadows that watch you. I wasn't the first, and I won't be the last. I am Nightmare 2, and you might be next. JD again. If you made it this far into the video, as always I sincerely want to thank you, and I really hope you enjoyed this reimagining of I Am Nightmare. If you liked it, hit that like button, it really helps with the algorithm, and subscribe for more original creepy content just like this. Ciao for now.
I wake up in the morning and I see Troy. He stares at me from the corner of my bedroom, always watching me. Damn, this place is a mess. He looks at me as if he's judging me like the smug asshole he probably was when he was alive. I know people like that and they piss me off. He was 43 years old at the time of his death and balding. He was one of those sleazy car salesmen who would give you a great deal knowing that the car he just sold you would break down within a month. He was divorced with 2 kids whom he only saw the first and third weekend of every month. When he wasn't working or suffering through visits with his children, he was at the bar getting drunk, like sloppy drunk. And he tipped like shit. For Troy, it's different now. He's missing an eye. He was actually held down by straps and it was crudely scooped out with a box cutter, then his murderer forced it down his throat. That must have been horrible for him. I wonder if he watched himself choke to death. He's missing a few other appendages as well, all of which were removed while he was still conscious and breathing. Can you please stop looking at me like that, dude? This happens every morning. There's nothing I could do about it till I hit the head. Like, come on, man. Troy isn't the only ghost I see, but he was the first one. He hasn't left my side in over 6 years now. By my count, I'll see 16 murder victims throughout my day. I get out of bed and I make my way to the washroom to relieve myself after a solid 8 hours of sleep. I sleep like a baby. I know who I'll see in there, Crystal. She was 25 when she met her demise, and she's a special one. When her body was found, it was immediately ruled a suicide. It wasn't, though. She was stalked for 3 weeks. Her every move was watched and noted. She didn't even know she was being hunted until she woke up in her bathtub already bleeding out. There was nothing she could do. Her murderer watched her take her last breath. What a way to wake up in the morning. Unlike Troy, she won't or can't follow me around and watch me all day every day. She mostly stays in the tub all naked and wrinkly. I've offered her a towel many times to cover up, or for fuck's sakes get out of the damn bath so other people could take a shower. Shit. I turn my back to them both to avoid their judging eyes as I awkwardly position my morning salute. I sigh as the 8 hours of collected fluid drains from my bladder. I flush the toilet, adjust the pants I slept in, and turn around. I shake my head in disappointment, looking Troy in his one remaining eye as I walk past him and exit the washroom. I hear him limping behind me as I walk down the hallway of my one-bedroom apartment. It sounds wet as he hobbles after me on the blood-dripping stump left at the bottom of his ankle. The mess he would be making if he wasn't a ghost, that would really piss me off. But I try to ignore the phantom anger building up in me. I enter my kitchen and I hit start on my coffee machine. I pick up the remote on the counter that separates the kitchen and the living room and turn on the TV that's mounted on the wall. On the couch, now staring at me, is Jeffrey. He was 39 years old when he was murdered. His big, bald, decapitated head sits gingerly on his lap as his hand picks at the open wound between his shoulders where his head used to be attached. His body is yet to be found, and I'm starting to think it never will be. If they do find it, they won't find the head that goes with the corpse. His murderer made sure of that. The last time his family saw him, he was on his way to work. His wife kissed him deeply before he walked out the front door. After 14 years of marriage, they were still madly in love. She's been a wreck for the last 3 weeks since he's been missing. A part of me feels bad for her, but what can you do, you know? Troy's made his way to the kitchen now, and I pull out 2 coffee mugs from the cupboard and I offer one to him. He rolls his eye at me. Oh right, you probably want a beer, don't you? Shit, I think I'm ball out. Get it? Eyeball out? No? Okay, whatever. He walks away from me and I laugh at my own terrible joke as I put one of the mugs back. I open the fridge and grab my hazelnut coffee creamer. I'll drink a full pot of coffee while getting ready for work this morning. And the same thing I do every morning. Jeff's decapitated head seems to be mouthing something to me. I ignore him as I watch my coffee finish brewing. I eagerly fill my mug with a Colombian breakfast brew and sweet milky hazelnut. It burns going down, but I finish the entire drink in several big gulps. I get a refill and I sip it on my way to the couch. I turn the volume up on my 52-inch and take a seat next to Jeffy Boy. A reporter is live, standing in front of the park just down the street from my building where a new body was found. I wonder if the camera crew will still be there when I'm on my way to work. This one is a teenage boy, 19 years old the day he died. His name is Trevor, and I'll see him walking out to my car in about 25 minutes when I leave for work. He loves dribbling his basketball right behind my car, always trying to make it look like I'm going to run him over while I'm backing out of my spot. That's how he was murdered, in fact. He was run over intentionally while walking home from the very park his partially flattened body was found. He was buried in a shallow grave in a small wooded area. The police combed the park multiple times looking for him. It's a wonder, or maybe just lazy police work, that they didn't find him in the first 2 searches. I hear a gargled moan coming from the hallway outside my apartment door, and I know immediately who it is. It's Jen. She was 23 years old when her throat was slit, and that's all she does now, that gross gargle. Police suspected her boyfriend, as they normally do, and all the evidence pointed to him. He's already serving 3 years of a 25-year sentence. Poor guy, getting convicted of a murder you didn't commit. That's really gotta suck. I finish my coffee and make my way back to the kitchen for round 3. My eyes are still glued to the TV, and I almost run into Troy, who's been standing in the doorway of my kitchen. "You're always in my way, man. Get a fucking life." Again, I chuckle to myself. I love bugging him. He just stands there lopsided with a blank expression on his face. I do a quick rinse of my pits in the kitchen sink, then once again head to the washroom. I put deodorant on and brush my teeth, and I hear sloshing in the tub behind me as Crystal shifts her body so she too can watch me. More wet and sticky hobbling comes from the hallway as I enter my bedroom. I dig through the pile of clothes spread across the floor. I'm looking for a shirt that doesn't smell too bad. On my 4th sniff, I hit the jackpot. This one actually smells clean. I keep putting off doing my laundry because Mrs. Doubtfire hangs out down there. That's not her real name, it's actually Kathy. But she does look like Robin Williams in the 90s movie, so that's what I call her. She was 61 years old when she took her last breath. I think she just loves the smell of the fabric softener that lingers in the air down there, and that's why she never leaves. Her murder wasn't a crime of passion or opportunity. She was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. She was the housekeeper of some rich asshole named Steven who was 50 when he was murdered in his mansion. He was busy with a pile of blow, listening to 80s rock as loud as his speakers would allow. I'm pretty sure it was Motley Crue. He didn't hear Kathy screaming before she was strangled to death. Not like it would have mattered either way. He was going to take a shotgun to the face regardless. It sucks for his spirit because he has no sense of direction. Every time I see him, he's wandering aimlessly, bumping into everything around him. Dumb, brainless bastard. He always seems to know which direction I'm in because whenever I'm close, he just beelines his way towards me. Once I'm ready for work, I rinse out my traveler's mug that's sitting on the counter next to my keys. I forgot to wash it when I got home from work yesterday. I turn to leave the kitchen and there's Troy blocking my exit yet again. "Man, I'm already running late. Can you get the fuck out of my way, please?" He steps aside and I flip him the bird as I grab my keys and walk out the front door. I lock it behind me and I hear Jen's gargling in my ear. I really wish you wouldn't do that so close to my face. It's really gross. I really hope that Troy stays here today, but as I hear the deadbolt slide into place, I also hear wet thudding approaching quickly on the opposite side of the door. Then an arm that's been severed just below the elbow moves through the solid wood. "I hope you can run faster than that, Troy. I'm taking the stairs today." I hurry towards the stairwell and run down it as fast as I can, jumping down 3 steps at a time. I think I've lost him, but as I approach my car, I see Troy and Trevor loitering behind the beat-up Civic. I sigh and shake my head in defeat. Maybe I'll beat him down here tomorrow. I take a swig from my coffee and savor the sweet taste before setting it on the roof of my car. I look at the dents in the stainless steel of my to-go mug from that one time I was running late and started driving with it sitting right where it is now. "Yo, One-Eyed Willie, you coming or not? 'Cause I'm leaving." He and Trevor exchange glances that make me feel uneasy, and another sigh escapes my throat. I grab my mug and slide into the driver's seat. On my 3rd attempt, the engine finally roars to life. I know the old girl doesn't have much life left in her, but it could be worse. At least she's not missing an eye. Am I right, Troy? I turn to Troy with an open-mouthed smile. I get nothing. My joke goes ignored by Troy already sitting next to me. His feet, well, foot and stump, disappear into the collection of cardboard coffee cups that litter the floor. I check my mirrors and Trevor wears a horrified look as if he's about to get mowed down. I shake my head and begin to back out anyway. I hear sobbing and a slight banging coming from the trunk of my '93 Classic. And that's Brittany. She was 31 years old when it was her time to go. Another one whose spouse was blamed for the murder. His case is still ongoing though, but I'm pretty sure they'll find him guilty as well. They'll never know that she and Jen were murdered by the same person. Britt suffocated in a suitcase in her husband's trunk. It wasn't until her corpse began to stink up the neighborhood that her bruised and beaten body was found. I pull out of the parking garage and I see Steven's holy head spin around. He'd be looking right at me if he had eyes. Look at Stefan, it could be worse. At least you could still see. And there's that judgy look again, cool. Steven starts his sprint toward me, but I speed up and lose him quickly. A few minutes later I pull into a local cafe. The barista is so cute. Her name's Amanda, and she's very much alive. We flirted on more than a few occasions when I stop in to get my morning coffees. Troy stays in the car while I head in. Amanda and I smile and talk casually as she pours sweet, sweet Java into 2 takeout cups. At least one of them will be added to the ever-growing pile on the dirty floor of my Honda, but she doesn't know that. I've been working up the nerve to ask Amanda out for dinner and drinks for a while now. I know she'll say yes, or I hope she will anyway. But I've always been a bit wary when it comes to talking to women. I get back to my car where Troy is waiting for me, eyeing the time. I know, I'm running late. Hell, my boss knows I'm running late. It's become a common thing, so I know I'll be staying late today to make up for the missing time. I sit in traffic, trying to drown out the sobs and thudding coming from the boot with talk radio that emits from the only speaker that still works in this POS trash can on wheels. We're slowly creeping up to the overpass that Kyle was pushed from 2 years ago. He was 27 years old when he fell to his death. I see his broken body standing in the middle of the road. He'd probably cause an accident if I wasn't the only one who could see him. He was another special one, ruled a suicide. His family still doesn't believe it though. He had an amazing life, he came from money, he was well liked, had a great job, and a baby on the way. Last I heard, his parents were still up the ass of the police department to reopen the case, but I know they won't. I see Troy shaking his head in my peripheral vision. You really gotta stop judging people, you judgmental asshole. It's honestly a wonder you weren't murdered sooner, I swear. I pull into the parking lot at work. It's a very plain, nondescript office building. There's a little coffee shop here that I could go to save time in the morning, but the coffee is shit and I've grown fond of my chit-chats with Amanda. I hit the call button for the elevator and I wait, finishing off the second of my dark roast travelers. I toss the empty container into the trash. The elevator dings and the doors slide open. I see my former coworker, Chris. He was 36 when he went missing about 8 months ago. He had a pretty bad gambling addiction. He owed a lot of people a lot of money. And those people, they're probably looking for him too. Another body that the authorities will never find. Even if they did, they'd never be able to identify him. He was left with no teeth for dental records and the tip of every single finger was detached with tin snips. That must have been brutal, knowing you're about to die, but at the same time knowing that you'll be buried as a John Doe if they even find your body. Yeesh. It's really a shame. After his murder, disappearance, his wife had to file for bankruptcy. She had no idea that their life savings were lost at various casinos around the city. It's just the 3 of us in the elevator, and I try to make small talk, but my attempts are either ignored or unnoticed. Let's be honest, they're ignoring me. Okay then, you 2 are great company. Always good chatting with you, Chris. Come along, Cyclops. Troy and I step off the metal death box held up by wires that I've never been 100% confident in. The first thing I do is head for the break room where Sylvia is standing naked as the day she was born, and died at age 33. Like Troy, she's missing body parts, but unlike Troy, she has both eyes. When she was murdered, her killer took his time. He thoroughly enjoyed every second of her torment. She was kept alive for weeks before finally being allowed to die. Her body was found in 3 separate dumpsters. She's definitely one of the better looking murder victims I see. Great rack on her. I try to avoid looking directly at her chest and I start brewing a pot of Joe. I'm no pervert, but I am totally a breast man. I stare at the dark brown liquid pouring in a steady stream into the glass pot when I hear a voice from behind me. It's my boss, slightly scolding me for being 23 minutes late. I blame it on traffic and he changes the topic to the body that was found in the park in the early morning hours. I don't take my eyes off the coffee pot while I answer his questions. Yes, it did happen really close to my place. No, it doesn't bother me. I didn't know the kid and it has nothing to do with me. Other than the fact that he relentlessly bounces his goddamn basketball behind my fucking car every morning. I select the largest mug from the cupboard that I can find. I bet Mike already snagged the biggest one. Mr. Brown-nosing kiss-ass always gets here early. He knows I like that one, that's probably why he took it. I mix my nectar of the gods with a generous helping of cream and sugar and sip it heading to my desk. I'll be back in 15 minutes for a refill. Sylvia eyes me as I walk past. Again, I try to avoid looking directly at her boobs, but she can see my eyes drift. I make eye contact with Troy, who's watching me, and I roll my eyes at him. Sitting at my desk, I'm distracted by Carl hanging from a noose outside the only window I get a view from. He was 29 years old when he was killed by the tire iron from his own truck. Thanks, Carl. I really enjoyed that view before you were murdered. He's another victim that is yet to be found, and one that will never be found. In life, he was a construction worker and he was buried on site the night before a concrete slab was poured over his final resting place. He too left behind a wife and kids. Troy lingers behind me as I drain the last sip from my cup. Damn, that one went fast. It's almost 10 now and I've yet to get any work done. I move past Troy as I make my way back to the break room. Yet again, Sylvia is waiting for me and I can't help but smile at her. I start thinking about Amanda and I find myself wondering what she'll be wearing to the gym tonight. She doesn't know that I signed up for a year membership 2 weeks ago using a fake name. I've been to the gym multiple times, but other than the treadmill, I haven't used any of the equipment. She hasn't even noticed me there, but I notice her. A wet thumping sound ruins my daydream of Amanda. Damn it, Troy! I give Sylvia a nod before heading back to my desk. On my way out of the break room, a little girl on a broken tricycle blocks my path. Olive's murder was technically vehicular manslaughter. Sadly, she was only 11 when her life ended tragically. Her killer didn't see her slowly cruising down the side of the street when he left work, speeding through a residential area, driving well above the posted speed limit. The police called it a hit and run, which is totally what happened, but they're looking for the wrong kind of vehicle, so he'll never be caught. Her poor parents must be torturing themselves for not keeping an eye on her that day. It breaks my heart to think that the collision was accidental. She was just starting her life. The rest of the workday goes by quickly, but it feels like an eternity as I'm surrounded by all these poor victims. At 4:30, I've already stopped working, but I make it look like I'm busy for the next 53 minutes to make up for my tardiness this morning. The coffee shop in the building is about to close up for the night by the time I get there, Troy hobbling slowly behind me. He's become my shadow over the last 6 years, and sometimes I think I'll miss him if he ever leaves my side. I order 2 extra larges of whatever they have left. She hands me a tray with 3 drinks and tells me that they're pretty old, so they're all on the house. I don't mind old coffee if there's enough sweetness to them. I thank her and walk out the front door of the building, and Kelly is there. She was 21 years old when she was murdered in a blind rage. She's dragging her legless torso in my direction, leaving a trail of blood and bile behind her that only I can see. It'll be gone when I get here in the morning, but it'll happen again when I leave work this time tomorrow. Such a disgusting time loop she's stuck in. Her murder was a crime born of revenge. She cut off the wrong guy during the evening commuter traffic on the highway. He honked at her and she flipped him off. He was overwhelmed with anger. Instead of taking a breath, getting over the nothing conflict and heading home or even to the gym to blow off some steam, he followed her to her complex. She cut him off, so he cut off her legs and let her bleed out and die just inside the doorway of her townhouse. Her boyfriend arrived home shortly after, but it was already way too late. I get to my car and I wait for Troy to catch up. While I wait, I notice the mutilated body of Devin. He was 32 when he was cut into pieces, which now lay in the backseat of my car. Another pang of phantom anger rushes over me. I think about the amount of work that would go into cleaning the bloody mess out of my already coffee-stained backseat. He's looking at me with desperation in his eyes, as if somehow I can help him with his situation. Before Devin was murdered, he was a personal trainer at Amanda's gym. He was all about his appearance, and the ladies flocked to him. He would always use the same excuse. He would say that he had a long-term, long-distance girlfriend, but the reality of it was that he was just super gay and deep in the closet. That's actually how his murderer was able to get close enough to do this to him. He honestly seems like he was a super great guy in life. I mean, I don't swing that way, but who the hell am I to judge? To each their own. Troy finally limps his lazy ass around to the passenger side door and floats his way into the seat. We make it back to my apartment and it's a little after 6:30. Amanda usually gets to the gym around 7, so I try my best to get ready as fast as possible and go. Troy agrees to wait in the car so I don't have to wait for him to hobble his way back. In the elevator on my way back down, it stops on the 4th floor and the door's open. Nicole walks in backwards, her head lulled all the way back. She was 38 when her murderer was interrupted and almost caught killing her. He was 3/4 of the way through decapitating her. There was so much blood found at the crime scene. Very gruesome. The officer who was first to respond to the call sent in his resignation 2 days later after the horrific sight. I don't blame him. The rest of the way down, I think of a clever way to make a nearly headless Nick joke, but I come up empty. The bell dings, indicating that I've made it to parking level 2. I leave the elevator yelling out my Harry Potter reference crudely with a laugh. I get back to my shitbox and Troy's looking at me disapprovingly. You heard that, did you? Come on, that's funny. Her name's Nicole. Like Nick? Get it? Ah, whatever, you're no fun. I back out with gusto, looking Trevor in the eyes through my rearview mirror as I do so. By the time I make it to the gym, it's already 7:09 and I'm late. I watch through the window as Amanda's already started her squats. I'll have to find somewhere else to park so she doesn't see me getting out. Once I park near the back door, I make my way around the building and head inside. She's on the step climber now with her headphones in, and I walk right behind her. Still, she doesn't notice me. She has an amazing body. She definitely doesn't need to come in here 4 times a week. In the changing room, I look in the mirror. Today is the day I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna finally ask her out on a date. I close my eyes and take 3 deep breaths. I open them, and now there's a few people standing right behind me. I recognize their faces immediately. Obviously, Troy is here. He limped in with me. Now he's joined by some of the others. Jeffrey has his head tucked under his left arm. Steven is next to him, blood dripping from the gaping hole where his face used to be. I'm not sure how he made it this far, but he did. On the other side of me are Chris and Carl. While Carl just hangs there from his noose, face colored blue from lack of oxygen, Chris opens his mouth in a grotesque, toothless grin. He starts spelling something out on the mirror with his blood-caked finger. Stump? I don't wait to see what he's writing. I desperately need a coffee. I turn away from the group and head out to the gym's cafe. I get a venti with 3 shots of espresso. I don't wait for it to cool before I down a third of it. Fuck, that's hot, but oh my god, is that good. I love the coffee here. I realize this one won't be enough, so I order a second, pay for it, and find a table with a view of the entire interior. After about 25 minutes, I come to terms with the fact that I won't be running tonight, not on the treadmill anyway. I see Amanda toweling the sweat off her forehead. She's headed for the changing room on the other side of the open establishment. I figure now's not the best time to ask her out. Maybe tomorrow. I look at Troy, who's sitting in the seat beside me. Thank God it's just the 2 of us again. I ask if he wants to go grab a beer, and he frowns at me. I smile, apologize, and tell him that I'm just fucking with him. I get up and get one more venti for the road and proceed to walk out to my car. I sit patiently, waiting for Amanda. Finally, there she is. She gets into her sporty red Mazda, and I try to start my car. As per usual, it doesn't turn over right away. If this is when my car dies, I'm going to be all sorts of pissed off. After the 4th try, the rumble of the engine fills me with joy. I put it in gear and I follow her. We arrive at her apartment as the sun is finishing its descent in the sky. I always love this excited feeling. I wait for her to enter her building. I decide to give her an extra 5 minutes to get settled in. I open my door quietly and I do the same as I close it. I cautiously make my way to the back of her building. Lucky for me, the door is propped open with a small rock wedged between the door and the frame. I head up to the 2nd floor and I find her apartment. Number 17. I build up my courage, and I knock. I wake up in the morning and I see Troy. He stares at me from the corner of my bedroom, always watching me. Damn, this place is still a mess. He looks at me as if he's judging me like the smug asshole he probably was when he was alive. He's not the only ghost I see, but he was the first. By my count, I'll see 17 murder victims throughout my day. I go through my morning routine at home, grab my keys, and lock the door behind me. Despite my best efforts, I get to my car and find Troy and Trevor waiting for me yet again. By the time I get to the cafe that Amanda works at, my coffee supply has been depleted. I walk in and I smile at Amanda when I see her. Today, she doesn't return the sentiment. It's another barista who greets me with a smile today. His name tag reads Brian. I ask him how Amanda managed to get the day off today. His smile fades and he tells me that no one's heard from her since the end of her shift yesterday. He explains that people have tried calling her and even sent the police to her apartment to do a welfare check. They're still looking into it, but it's as if she's disappeared. I express my concern, tell him I hope that she's okay, and wish that they have luck in finding her. Amanda stares at me blankly. Her mouth is gagged and her hands are tied firmly behind her back. She was 30 years old when her murderer strangled her to death with his bare hands so that there was a little mess to clean up. He didn't enjoy killing her. He would have much rather taken her out on a date to a nice fancy restaurant. He couldn't help himself though. Maybe he just had to get it out of his system. That should hold him over for a couple months at least. It's a shame that I won't be enjoying any more morning flirtations with Amanda, but I find solace in knowing that at least I'll see her every day.
I'm recording this because I'm not sure I'm going to get out of here alive. If anyone ever finds my phone, I want there to be a record of what happened to me. My name is Jason Miller, and I'm an urban explorer / ghost hunter from Canada. But not one of those obviously staged, fake-ass, paranormal investigator, post it to YouTube for clout kind of guys. I don't even bring a real camera with me anymore. Any footage I've deemed worthy of keeping is shitty smartphone garbage that's shaky at best. It all started as a fascination with creepy abandoned buildings, cool old architecture, alleged ghost sighting locations, and honestly, just seeing actual proof, like, with my own eyes of anything supernatural. The thing is, I don't believe in that shit. Or, I didn't anyway. But tonight, sitting in this creepy old asylum, completely alone, smoking my second last J, I think I've been seeing ghosts. Like, actually. But I might just be going crazy. This could all be hallucinations brought on by stress or some shit. But then again, it seems so real. Kyle's been missing for hours, and I swear this place was built as a fucking maze, or maybe my mind's just playing tricks on me. Maybe Kyle's just fucking with me. That's the rational explanation. That must be it. No, wait. I came here alone. It can't be Kyle. He fucking died years ago. Why can't I think straight? Oh yeah. What was I saying? Ghosts. Proof of ghosts. Okay, I gotta back up a bit. Since I was a kid, I loved ghost stories, Goosebumps books, horror movies, and those ghost hunting shows from way back when cable TV was still a thing. I couldn't get enough. Nothing was ever scary enough to, like, actually scare me, though. I always thought,
That's totally fake. There's no such thing as ghosts. I need to see it to believe it.
my best friend growing up was my next-door neighbor, Kyle. He was kind of dorky, super smart, big glasses, got picked on regularly at school, but he could hold his own. Tough little bastard, Kyle. We had sleepovers damn near every night of our childhood. When we weren't at each other's houses, we were in constant communication with walkie-talkies. Kyle shared my love of the occult, only he believed in ghosts and was very, very easily scared. And believe me, I took full advantage of that. In our teens, we started our hunt for ghosts, or more accurately, any type of proof of ghosts. We would break into old abandoned places around the city. I'm not going to say which city, but it's in southern Ontario. He made it his mission to prove to me that ghosts exist, but place after place I'd rub it in his stupid little face when we didn't find a damn thing. As the end of high school approached, we drifted apart. Being smart as fuck, Kyle was applying to universities, and I was working way more than full-time at an off-brand video store, binge-watching horror movie after horror movie. But once in a while, we would find a cool old-ass abandoned building within driving distance and do our traditional overnight investigation. After graduation, Kyle and I had a cross-country trip planned. The ghost hunt and urban exploration to top them all, and it was amazing. Until Kyle disappeared. We hit every abandoned hospital, creepy old castle, haunted cemetery, derelict cabin in the woods, and everything in between throughout Canada. You name it, we've probably spent the night. But time and time again, we came up empty-handed, or me rationalizing everything Kyle claimed as verified proof. We saved the best for last, an asylum for the criminally insane. It closed sometime in the late 50s. It stayed abandoned to this day. It's changed hands over and over with more than a few attempts to renovate it and turn it into condos or whatever. Every contractor ever given the project worked a few days and then vowed never to enter the fucking place again. Needless to say, it has a reputation for being haunted as hell. Now, I'm starting to think there's some truth to those rumors. They were apparently extremely abusive to their patients, with something like 1,500 recorded deaths and who the hell knows how many undocumented. The doctor running the place was obsessed with electroshock therapy and had a hard-on for his trusty ice pick. When they finally shut the doors, he refused to leave and took his own life in his office. I guess they had a laundry list of charges he was going down for, so he took the easy way out. It's said that he still walks these halls looking for patients to try and fix, which I'm finding out is probably not just stories. The night Kyle and I got here all those years ago, before we even got in the building, something felt off. The night was calm and cool, but the closer we got, the colder the air felt. Kyle tried to convince me to pull the plug, come back another night, or just say fuck it altogether, but something was drawing me in, kind of like it was tonight. I so wish we went back to the hotel that night. We got in, made our way to the second floor to set up for the night. We had it down to a science. Smoke a joint, set up our pup tent, backed into a corner with the door facing out, break out our equipment, do battery and sound checks, go over the building layout, smoke another joint, and do one walkthrough together before going solo. The whole time, it felt like we were being watched. We heard creaks and the odd bang, but I chalked it up to the state of the building, or wind knocking something over, or slamming a door, maybe a potential squatter or two.
Bud, there's nothing to worry about. Don't be a pussy.
I was such a dick back then. If that had been the case, then I probably wouldn't be sitting here in this fucking maze of a mental hospital, completely lost, possibly hallucinating, or just straight up going crazy. That night was kind of a blur. After we split up, Kyle and I were in constant communication, as per usual. He kept telling me weird things that were happening to him and stuff he thought he saw. I just kept laughing it off, making jokes.
Is it Casper the Friendly Ghost? Let me guess. It's peeking at you from around a corner. No, don't tell me. A doorway.
No, seriously, bro. I think we should get the fuck out of here. Something's not right.
Damn it, Kyle. I thought I told you to bring your big girl panties tonight.
Dude, fucking listen to me. Something's going on. I can't find the stairwell. Every turn takes you back to the same door. It's his office, I think. That sick fuck doctor.
Oh my god, really? You're not funny, bud. You know you can't scare me. Why even try?
Dude, someone's here. What the fuck?
I could hear the panic in his voice, so I started jogging up the stairs.
What? What's going on? Dude, where the fuck are you?
Third floor. I think he's here.
He whispered.
Who? Dude, what the fuck?
Hello? The walkie-talkie came to life and he was screaming, and I swear I could hear another voice coming through.
You better not be fucking with me, man. I swear to God I'll kick your ass.
He didn't respond to my threat, but he was clearly yelling at someone. Although I couldn't understand what he was saying, I started sprinting for the third floor, expecting to find Kyle being attacked by a drug addict. Either way, someone's ass was getting kicked. By the time I made it to the second floor, I realized it was absolutely pouring rain outside. I'm talking like a torrential downpour. Lightning lit up the stairwell, followed immediately by a deafening crack of thunder. Less than an hour prior, there wasn't a cloud in the sky. I kept yelling into my walkie-talkie, demanding Kyle to say something, anything, while leaping 3 steps at a time up the remaining stairs. I entered the hallway and saw a crackling blue light coming from an open door at the far end.
Kyle!
I yelled, having a full-blown panic attack, just as a figure wearing what looked to be a white lab coat slammed the door closed. As if on cue, another bolt of lightning struck down, engulfing my vision in bright white. The thunder shook the floor and walls around me, and then it went silent. Then my vision went black. That's all I remember until I came to with sunlight pouring in through the dusty old windows. Kyle was gone. Just gone. Nothing left but his walkie. I've kept it all these years. I called the police and tried to explain what happened, but no one believed me. A full investigation was launched, and for obvious reasons, I was the main person of interest, but there was zero evidence against me. Police never found his body. Ultimately, the case went cold years later. I gotta say, it fucking destroyed me for a long time. I went down a really bad path. That was exactly 20 years ago today.
I've been sober for 8 years and faced my trauma by getting back into urban exploration. Tonight was going to be the night I put it all behind me. Face the asylum that took my best friend. Look for answers. Look for Kyle. Finally get fucking closure. I swear he's here. He's been trying to tell me what happened. I can feel him trapped here.
Yo, pass that, bud.
Oh, yeah, here. I've been seeing him everywhere tonight. Yo, you gonna hit this or what? There's something evil here. I can feel it. Yo, Kyle, take that. Oh, what the fuck? He was literally just sitting next to me. This place is fucking with me, man. What the fuck? Ghosts aren't real. Okay, I gotta move. I gotta get the hell out of here. Everything looks the same and I can't find the stairs. Fuck. Alright, I'll update this when I know what's going on. Okay, update. I've been walking around for hours now. I can't find the stairs anywhere. I'm honestly considering jumping out one of these fucking windows. But it's a long way down. It looks like I'm on the 3rd floor, which is just awesome. Wait. What the hell? Oh shit! Oh shit, it's him! The fucking ice pick doctor! I'm alive. I can't believe it, but I'm alive. I'm sitting in my car right now watching the asylum burn to the ground. Oh, I can honestly say that ghosts are real, and I've never been so scared in my whole life. I saw the doctor. I saw Kyle. He saved my life. When I was trapped on the 3rd floor looking for the way out, I stumbled upon the office of the former head doctor, the room I last saw Kyle in years ago before the door slammed shut. And that's where I first saw him. That psycho fucking doctor. He was sitting in his chair with a look of madness in his eyes. At first I thought it was just my imagination playing tricks on me, but when he suddenly disappeared, I knew I was dealing with something far more sinister than I could have ever imagined. From that moment on, things took a turn for the worse. Doors that I had previously explored looking for an escape were suddenly locked, and the sounds of footsteps echoed through the halls around me, even though I was the only one there. And then there were shadows. At first, they were just vague apparitions at the corner of my eye, but they became more defined, more menacing. Sick, twisted versions of former patients of the hospital. Then, I saw him again. The doctor's ghost standing at the end of the hallway, wearing a blood-covered lab coat, holding an ice pick. I started to run, but eventually found myself trapped in a room. There was nowhere to hide, and I could feel him closing in on me. The door burst open and he appeared before me in all his terrifying glory. At that point, I was ready to accept my fate. The same fate as Kyle. No one would ever see or hear from me again. I closed my eyes waiting for the inevitable when I heard a familiar voice.
Damn it, Jay. I told you to bring your big girl panties tonight.
I opened my eyes to see Kyle looking at me with a big grin painted across his face.
You need to get the fuck out of here, bro. I'll take care of Dr. Sick Fuck. Oh, I've been waiting for this for so long. You have to go through his office to get out. Get in, shut and lock the door. When you open it again, it'll reset the maze. I'll buy you as much time as I can, but you have to move fast. Go! Now!
Kyle sprinted toward the doctor, taking him down to the ground, giving me enough time to run through the door. At the end of the hall, I saw a flickering blue light coming from the edges of the office door, and I ran. I burst through and did exactly what Kyle told me to do. And it worked. I opened the door and I saw the stairs. In a mad dash, I tripped, smashing my face hard on the dust-covered floor. I looked toward the room where I'd last seen the doctor and Kyle, and he was there, holding his ice pick, making his way toward me. Lightning lit up the corridor, followed by a rumbling thunder. The apparition of Kyle appeared in front of me, facing the evil spirit, determined to claim his next victim.
Bro, run!
Kyle's voice echoed through the rundown building. I got to my feet and ran with every bit of strength I could muster. As I took the stairs, leaping 4 at a time, gripping the railing, it felt like it was about to snap under my weight. More lightning led my path as it struck through the window of the landing I had just left, splintering the decades-old wooden railing and igniting it in a bright orange glow. I felt the heat on my back as fire rained down around me. I got to the first floor where Kyle was waiting for me.
You can't leave the 3rd floor. We're safe down here for now.
I stopped to catch my breath and collapsed on the ground. Kyle sat down next to me and let out a sigh.
I knew you'd come back for me. I didn't think it would take you this long. You're so old. How long have I been trapped here?
20 years, I said, breathing heavily. 20 years today, actually.
Wow. So that makes you
38 years old. I'm sorry it took me so long to get back here, bud. When you disappeared, I wasn't okay. I'm not sure I'll ever be okay. It was all my fault, man. I'm so sorry.
It's not your fault, bro. I was so hell-bent on proving to you that ghosts do exist. Do you believe me now?
Well, obviously, I'm sitting here talking to you. So, what now? Are you finally free?
The building's on fire, so I think I will be. Speaking of which, you need to get the fuck out of here. You're gonna find out what it's like on the other side. There's no time here. No relief from the pain of death. Nothing but the torment of knowing you don't exist. Well, not physically. I don't know how to explain it.
That sucks, man. You were supposed to do something with your life. Oh, fuck, I wish it was me. I'm so sorry.
Dude, stop with the sappy bullshit. Look, you can make it up to me right now. You got any herb on you?
Really? Have you ever met me? Honestly though, was that like a serious question? I said with a laugh. I pulled out my last joint and lit it. Kyle and I sat in silence, occasionally exchanging glances, smiles, and giggling like teenagers as I took deep puffs and blew steady streams of white smoke toward him that seemed to float right through him. The sound of crackling wood was getting closer. Thick smoke from the upper floor started filling the foyer of the decrepit asylum for the criminally insane. I knew it was time to leave, and so did Kyle. I butt out the joint and we said our goodbyes. I turned to leave but stopped. I rummaged through my backpack and produced 2 walkie-talkies. I handed Kyle his and he was actually able to grab it. He smiled at me and I walked into the cool morning air. I looked up and saw that the fire had spread. The old building would be rubble before the sun was fully up. I sat in my car and that brings us to now, watching the fire destroy the doctor's eternal resting place. I really hope Kyle can find peace now.
Jed, can you hear me? It's me.
Kyle?
My name is Tommy Pickles. I was born in 1988, and honestly, I had a lot of problems growing up. Recently, my past, or more accurately, my imaginary friends from when I was a kid, have come back to haunt me. My cousin Angelica is a few years older than me, and she was just committed to a psychiatric hospital in the spring of 2019. She claimed that she was seeing people that never existed. Well, technically never existed. One of the last things she said to me before she was admitted was that the twins, Phil and Lil, were following her everywhere she went. They were telling her that everything from our childhood was real and that ending her own life would stop the hallucinations, but it wouldn't just end her life, it would end all of our lives. The thing is, there were no twins, there was no Chucky, and I never had a brother Dill. Okay, I guess I should explain a bit. When we were little, and I mean really little, she was like 4 and I was only 1 at the time, she had this idea that there were more kids than just me as a baby. She claimed that the DeVilles had twins and lived on the same street as our families. There was a little boy named Chucky that was also our cousin, and eventually I had a brother. Growing up, we were really close, so eventually I started playing along with her and the others, and I started seeing them all too. We would go on extravagant imaginary adventures. I'm talking things that you'd only see in a cartoon or TV shows or movies. It was absolutely amazing. We had so much fun together. As the years went on, it started to dwindle a bit for me, but Angelica wouldn't admit that it was all in her head. Our parents put us both in therapy to find the root of the issue, and, well, we found it. Chucky, who would become my best friend, had existed at one point. His name was Charles Jr., but he died in a car accident with my aunt a couple years before I was born. My Uncle Chaz was a nervous wreck and depended on my mom and dad for support from that day on. The DeVilles did get pregnant, but they decided they didn't want to have kids and had an abortion. As a result, because Angelica didn't know if it would be a boy or girl, her mind split the baby into 2, developing the twins, Phil and Lil. As for my brother Dill, he was technically also real. My parents were expecting a second child, a boy, but unfortunately, he was stillborn. She refused to believe it, so he was added to our imaginary escapades. More years went by, and Angelica and I would just agree with the doctors and tell them what they wanted to hear. But the 6 of us would still play, go on spectacular adventures, and as we grew up, so did they. It was something for just her and I, a little bond that only we shared. In our teens, we would still see them from time to time in the halls of the school, and although we had to keep it a secret, we continued to imagine them and do all sorts of cool things. But they became fewer and further in between. After high school, I went off to college, got a job, got married, had a couple little ones of my own, and completely forgot about the group of kids I didn't grow up with. But Angelica, she wouldn't let go of the world she created, and eventually she developed habits. She went down a really bad path, in and out of rehab, therapy on a near daily basis, and I've already told you the result of that. Sitting in a padded room somewhere, probably still going on about the kids that never were. I honestly still don't believe this myself, but about 9:30 last Wednesday night, Chucky showed up at my door, still sporting his bright orange wild hair, thick framed glasses, and a mustache. He was the spitting image of what I remember my Uncle Chaz looking like when I was a kid. I was speechless. He told me that we needed to talk, and it was really important. Just then, my wife appeared behind me, asking me why I was just staring out the front door like a crazy person. I asked her if she could see him, and all she said was, "See who? Are you okay?" I squeezed my eyes closed, shook my head, and he was gone when I finally opened my eyes. I told my wife that I just thought I heard something outside, and then I thought I saw something, but ultimately I was fine. I was anything but fine. All the adventures, all the conversations, the bond that we all shared growing up came rushing back to me in an instant. I decided to get into bed and try to sleep it off, but I couldn't sleep at all. Around 3 a.m. I got up to get myself a glass of warm milk. It always helps me sleep when I'm feeling restless. Walking into my kitchen, the fridge door was wide open with someone hunched over rummaging through it. "Who the hell are you and what the fuck are you doing in my house?" I said in a hushed yell, trying not to wake up my family. "Relax, bro. You're almost out of milk, by the way," said a familiar voice as my brother closed the fridge, making his way to the cupboard for a glass. No. You're not real. You died during childbirth," I said, trying to shake off what I was seeing. "I'm as real as I've always been, Tommy. Do you have any clean cups? Damn, man. I know you're busy with work and have kids, but do your dishes, shit." I was in complete disbelief, but responded, I do the dishes. They're in the dishwasher." "Oh, right. You make enough money to afford a dishwasher," Dill said jokingly. I honestly thought I was dreaming, so I pinched myself hard, and when that didn't work, I reached for the knife block for a weapon. "What, you're actually gonna kill your brother for drinking the last of your milk? Come on, man, that's not cool," he said, filling up his cup halfway before shaking the empty carton and setting it down on the counter. "What the actual fuck is going on right now, Dill? How are you here? What do you want?" I was scared out of my mind. I knew I was having a mental breakdown. I had to be. "Yeah, Chuck told me to expect this. He should be here any minute. Phil and Lil are dealing with Angelica. We have one last adventure to go on before this all ends." "Before what ends? What are you talking about?" "Oh my god, I've lost my mind, haven't I?" "Well, in a way, you lost your mind when you were still in diapers. And before this ends, all of this. All the adventures, all the fun. We had lots of fun as kids, didn't we?" Just then, a knock at the door startled me, and I dropped the knife that I was still holding. Dill watched it hit the floor, and with a chuckle he said, "Ah, there's Chuck now. I'll get the door. Just sit down and try to relax, bro. We'll explain everything." I sat down at the kitchen table in absolute shock as Dill let Chucky in. Chuck walked into my kitchen with a smile on his face and said, "Hey, Dobby. Sorry about earlier. I didn't mean to freak you out." "No, it's all good, man. It's nice to see you. Both of you. Can you guys please tell me what the hell is happening right now?" Chucky sat down beside me and let out a sigh. "It's Angelica. She's gonna end her life soon, and we have to make sure that doesn't happen. We have to get her out." "How could you possibly know that?" I asked. "And even if you're right, she's in a mental hospital under constant supervision. I doubt we would even be able to get in to see her, let alone get her out." "That's where we need you. You can get us in, and you're the only one who can convince her that we are real. We do exist." Dill started. "He's right. You're the last one of us she still believes in. That's why we're here," Chuck added. "What? Still believes in? What are you saying? This doesn't make any sense. I know what happened. I know none of you are real. Chucky, you died when you were 2. And Dill, you never breathed fresh air. And the twins? They were barely an embryo. This isn't happening right now. I'm dreaming or I'm just as fucking crazy as Angelica. I didn't even realize I was yelling when my wife called down, "Babe? Who are you talking to?" My head snapped towards the sound of her voice as I heard her footsteps softly coming down the stairs. "Oh shit, you two have to hide, quickly!" I whispered, frantically turning back to my brother and best friend who didn't only hide but had completely disappeared. My wife rounded the corner and our eyes met. No one. I couldn't sleep, so I came down to get some more milk. I looked directly at the now empty glass of milk that Dill had poured. I guess I was just thinking out loud, sorry. I didn't mean to wake you up. I tried my best to explain. "Okay, are you sure you're feeling alright? Maybe you should take tomorrow off and get some rest," she said with a worried smile on her face. "Yeah, I think you're right. You know, I've been thinking a lot about Angelica tonight, and I might drive up to see her this weekend if that's cool," I said, picking up the glass of milk and setting it down in the sink, my eyes darting all over the kitchen, hoping I wouldn't see Chuck or Dill quietly hiding around a corner somewhere. "Yeah, of course. She's your family too. I can handle the kids. Is she okay?" my wife asked sympathetically. "I'm not sure. I just have a bad feeling. That's why I feel like I need to go see her, you know?" I replied. "You can head up. I'll be right behind you, okay?" "Okay, babe. Just don't be too long. You clearly need some sleep," she said as I watched her head back upstairs. I turned around and saw that I was completely alone. I knew what I saw, but was it a dream? I sat back down and buried my face into my arms folded on the table, and I heard Dill whisper, "Meet us tomorrow. We'll be at the park we used to play at when we were kids. We'll go over the plan there." My head shot up, but I was still alone in my dimly lit kitchen. "What? Wait, what time? You gotta give me more info than that." I waited for a reply, but got nothing. After a few minutes of silence, I made my way upstairs and curled up next to my wife. In what felt like a blink, it was the next day. Sunlight poured into our bedroom window, and I could hear the faint sounds of my kids laughing at whatever they were watching in the living room. I groggily made my way to the washroom to take a shower, texting my boss along the way to let him know that I'd be taking the rest of the week off. During my shower, I recanted the events that took place the night before, still in disbelief, and tried to convince myself that it was all just a dream. But I knew that I needed to go see Angelica regardless. Downstairs, I lay on the couch surrounded by my loved ones. I remembered the last thing Dill whispered to me, to meet them in the park. I had moved a couple towns over, so the drive would take about an hour. I let my wife know that I had a few things to get done that day and headed out. I was sure I would get there and feel absolutely stupid for having made the drive for nothing, but I went anyway. When I got there, I just sat in my car, just watching the park. It was just afternoon on a Thursday, and the park was basically empty, save for a couple pushing their baby on the swing. The park had changed completely in the last 30 years, but I could still see how it used to look, deep in my mind. "Oh my god, I'm such an idiot," I said to myself, starting up my car about to leave. Before I even put it in reverse, I saw 4 figures approaching. I noticed Chucky right away by his fire orange mop of hair. Beside him, Dill was smiling from ear to ear, and as if in sync, the twins matched his grin and started to wave as they hurried over and got into my car. Phil got in right behind me and wrapped his arms tightly around me in the seat. "Holy shit," he said, pulling tighter. "It's been way too long since I've seen your ugly mug. How you been, man? I hear you have kids now. That's awesome." Yeah, I do," I replied, laughing, prying his hands off my chest. "It's good to see you too, Phil. And Lil, holy crap, you're a full-grown woman now. Wow, look at you." "Oh my god, thank you," she said, blushing. "You've grown up yourself. What's with the beard? I barely recognize you." "Yeah, thanks, I guess. It took over a month to grow this much." Dill climbed in the seat next to me and smiled and said, "Honestly, man, you have no idea how good it is to see you." "I know, brother. I missed you a lot. All of you," I said, looking around the car. "But I gotta ask, what the hell is happening to me? How are you all here? Am I, going crazy or something?" An awkward silence filled the small space, and finally Chucky broke it and said, "It's hard to explain, but now that we're all here, we could show you. Do you remember Reptar?" I thought for a second and answered, "Yeah, of course, but what does that have to do with anything?" He cut me off and said, "Start driving. Think about all the times you drove while we were all piled in at Reptar. But really think about it." I did as he told me, and I started driving. Then the car started to change. Before we even made it to the end of the street, the transformation was complete. The 5 of us were no longer in the vehicle I paid a ton of money for. We were in the wagon I imagined as a kid. We were in Reptar. I started laughing at the top of my lungs as joy and happiness rushed through me. I felt like a kid again.
Oh my god! This is incredible!
I yelled, feeling the wind on my face. I turned to look at the others, and the adults who piled in my car only minutes ago were now the little kids that I had adventures with as a child. They were all looking at me, huge grins painted their faces. Then Dill spoke.
It was always real, brother. All of it. We have to get Angelica out or all of this ends. Forever.
I turned to look at the others, and the adults who piled in my car only minutes ago were now the little kids that I had adventures with as a child. We drove the whole way back to my house in Reptar, laughing and reminiscing about all the adventures we had. Before I pulled into my driveway, we discussed a plan for getting Angelica out of the hospital. The plan was simple enough, or so we thought. I was barely able to sleep that night, eager to get on the road the next morning. I got up feeling full of energy, I said goodbye to my family, and made my way out to my car. I paused for a minute staring at the shiny SUV and focused. Before long, I was looking at the wagon, now sporting a goofy-looking dragon head and tail, and I smiled.
It's absolutely amazing, isn't it?
Dill asked from behind me. I spun around in place to see the child versions of all my friends.
What are you doing? You guys have to hide. What if my wife or kids come out and see you?
I said, starting to panic a little.
Don't worry, Tommy. No one else could see us, or Reptar.
Chucky assured me.
We better get going, though.
We all piled in the wagon, and this is where the story gets a little weird. The adventure we were embarking on was being played out in two ways, reality and imagination, both of which I could see clearly. On the way to the institution, we imagined that we were saving Angelica from a prehistoric island. As we made our way to the tropical paradise, we couldn't help but feel a sense of dread. The island was shrouded in a dense fog, and there was an eerie silence that hung in the air. Despite our fears, we pushed on, spurred by our collective love for Angelica. Once we set foot on the island, we quickly realized that things were not as they seemed. Plants that were supposed to be long extinct grew around us, and we heard strange noises, and glowing creatures watched us from the shadows. We imagined that the island was home to an ancient civilization, one that had long ago been sacrificed to a powerful deity. The creature known as the Crimson One now slumbered deep beneath the island, and it hungered for new sacrifices. And the next sacrifice was Angelica. I felt all this through imagination, but the reality was, we'd arrived at the hospital, and as we walked through the corridors, we heard whispers and eerie moans from the patients. There was a thick, oppressive air in the building, and the creatures that watched us were doctors and nurses eyeing me down as I made my way to find where they were keeping her. As we reached Angelica's locked room, we peered through the window and found her sitting alone in the corner, staring blankly at a wall. She didn't react to our arrival or our attempts to get her attention. Then Chucky started to flicker as we realized that something was definitely affecting Angelica's mind. We decided to search the hospital for clues and found out that Angelica's doctor was experimenting with a new form of psychotherapy, which involved wiping away any memories from a person's mind. Angelica had endured this treatment, and that's why she no longer recognized us. We knew we had to act fast to save her before she forgot all about us and we disappeared from her mind forever. In our minds, Angelica had been lured to the island by a group of treasure hunters who wanted to plunder the ancient civilization's wealth. In doing so, they set off a chain reaction that threatened to awaken the Crimson One. We quickly realized that our mission was not only to save Angelica, but to prevent the Crimson One from awakening. We had to solve puzzles, navigate traps, and fight off the island's dangerous inhabitants. As we did so, we learned more about the island's dark past and the true horrors of the Crimson One, and what he was planning to do to Angelica. As we moved through the hospital, we encountered several twisted and malformed creatures, patients who had been subjected to the experimental therapy and morphed into monstrous beings with twisted limbs, elongated necks, and bulging eyes. These creatures attacked the 5 of us, but we managed to fight them off, all while trying to find a way to rescue Angelica. Finally, we found a room where the doctor was conducting the experiment, and they had my cousin strapped to the bed. We discovered that the doctor had stolen a rare crystal from the ancient civilization and was using its power to manipulate Angelica's memories. The crystal had twisted her mind, and the creatures we encountered were more former imaginary friends, forced to mutate into monstrous beings. Imagination and reality started to blur together, and I wasn't sure if I was able to keep my grasp on real life. We knew we had to reset the crystal or destroy it to undo the damage. However, when we entered the room, the doctors and his assistants were waiting for us, and another fight broke out. We fought off the group, but it was already too late. The Crimson One had awakened and emerged from its slumber. It was a horrifying, blood-red creature with long, spindly limbs and gaping maw filled with razor-sharp teeth. It roared as it readied itself to attack our group. Just then, Angelica jolted awake, looking livelier than I've seen her in years. She looked around the room and was vibrantly happy to see all of us just the way she remembered. Now, recovered from her stupor, she leapt from the bed with an unimaginable strength. She flung the Doctor/Crimson One across the room. The crystal they had been using for their evil experiments fell and shattered. The room went silent and everything started to return to normal. We watched as the monstrous creatures reverted back to their original forms. We watched the crystal's energy release Angelica's stolen memories. We surrounded her and hugged her, elated to have managed to bring her back to reality. We ran from the room and made our escape. However, as we left the hospital, Angelica stopped, a sad look drawn across her face.
It's time to let you go. All of you. I'm sorry I couldn't keep this going forever.
Chucky, Dill, Phil, and Lil all smiled as if they knew this was coming.
Wait, what? No!
I protested.
We just got you out. This was the most amazing adventure we've ever been on. You can't do this.
Chucky put his hand on my shoulder.
Tommy, it's okay. We all knew this was our last one,
he said, gesturing to the rest of the group.
Angelica needs us if she's gonna have any sort of normalcy in life.
So, this is just it then? What happens to all of you? You just disappear forever? Or what am I supposed to do? I just got you all back. I felt tears building up behind my eyes as I said this.
It's not just us, Tommy. You're coming too,
Dill said as he slowly became transparent. Just then, all of Angelica's real memories started to fill my mind. The car accident, the abortion, the stillbirth, and her memory of me, passing away in the night from sudden infant death syndrome, only a week after my parents brought me home from the hospital. The memories I had of high school, college, getting married, having kids, they all started to slip away. She kept her memory of me alive all these years. She imagined me getting married, having kids, and my own life. But it was just that. Her imagination.
No, please,
I said softly.
I don't want to go.
Angelica wrapped her arms around me and I watched as our friends disappeared behind her.
You were always my favorite, and I'll never forget you.
She whispered in my ear.
But I can't play anymore. I love you, Tommy.
And with that, I too disappeared deep into Angelica's lost imagination.
My name is Lucas Canning. I was the senior editor at a major publishing company in New York City. I was the one to oversee most of our top-selling authors. Think big names like Robert Kirkman, Jonathan Mayberry, and Dean Koontz, just to name a few. A couple of months ago, I got word that one of my clients took his own life. His name is James Paul Traverse, but he was known by his pen name, J.P. Terror. We were pretty close. Lots of long nights spent drinking and finalizing his novels, but I was shocked to learn that he left everything he owned to me. Among his possessions was the manuscript for his latest novel in his Legacy series, due to be in every bookstore in North America by late September this year.
Oh, we got it done way before then, didn't we?
No, don't start. I have to get this out. He left it unfinished, but the words he had written blew my mind. It was sure to be a hit. I'm talking Stephen King in his prime numbers. Tucked in the pages of the incomplete horror masterpiece was the pen he spent $10,000 on after his first novel took off, and the money started rolling in for him. It was solid gold, perfectly balanced weight, and the smoothest ballpoint tip I've ever felt.
Best purchase I ever made in life.
Stop. He had that damn pen on him wherever he went, always taking notes, scribbling on napkins, almost constantly writing.
A lot of really messed up shit goes through my head, and I gotta get it out, what can I say?
Holy shit, you gotta let me do this. Weeks went by and I read the manuscript over and over. I couldn't put it down. The story was, well, his story. Written in a third-person point of view, it described all the events he had been through and how he took his inspiration from true paranormal events he had personally experienced. It detailed the way he planned to kill himself and went on about how his spirit would come back to finish the series once and for all. I thought that it was just that, a story.
It's way more than just a story. You haven't even seen the best part yet.
The thing is, a month after he died, I was working. Just another day at the publishing house. I opened my email and the most recent message was from JP. I couldn't believe my eyes. At first, I thought it was a pre-scheduled message or something to that effect. But as I read it, it seemed like he had just sent it. It read...
I totally did just send that. From your computer.
It read...
Dear Lucas, by the time you receive this email, I'll already be dead. I know what you're thinking. Yes, killing myself before finishing the book was a stupid thing to do, but it's the way it has to be to continue the series. As you know, I believe in the afterlife, and I know that my spirit will roam the earth long after I'm gone, seeking to complete my unfinished business, blah blah blah. That unfinished business is my legacy series, and I need your help to finish it, or more accurately, I need your hands. You hold the key to my legacy, Lucas. As far back as I can remember, I've been haunted with the thoughts that invade my mind. I've seen things nobody should see, and I've heard things nobody should hear, but I have the ability to turn those thoughts into words. And as we both know, the people love those words. I must confess that my stories are 80% autobiographical, and the idea that I'm the only one holding in these horrific thoughts, it kills me inside. Which is actually why I decided to become a writer. So I want you to promise me that you will continue my work. Do not publish anything I don't approve of first. And don't worry, you won't have to write anything at all. You let me take care of that. Start editing my manuscript, which you seem to be oh so fascinated with currently. And make sure you use my pen, it's the only way this will work. Trust me when I say, Lucas, I'm right there with you. Watching you. Ugly tie, by the way. Who the hell wears a polka dot tie with a pinstripe suit? I thought you had better fashion sense than that, come on, man. Anyways, I'll see you later tonight and we'll talk about the ending. Sincerely, your all-time favorite prick of an author, JP Terror. Ciao for now.
Yes, he did sign off like that. Anyways, I was shocked as I looked down at my polka dot tie and began to loosen it from around my neck. The golden pen that I thought I had left sitting on my desk at home was now positioned meticulously on the manuscript right in front of me. And that is exactly where my nightmare began. I picked up the pen and it was as if my hand had a mind of its own.
Man, it felt so good to hold that pen again.
I opened the cover and immediately started reading the pages once again, this time jotting notes as I read on. The moment I started editing his final manuscript, I felt an eerie presence around me. The lights appeared to flicker, the curtains seemed to move on their own, and the atmosphere felt suffocating.
You should have seen your face. Priceless.
Okay, why the hell are you doing this? This isn't your story. This is my last confession. You have to stop.
Come on, Luke. Was I ever good at giving a fuck about what you told me to do or not do? I didn't bitch about all your side notes in my book, fuck.
Still an asshole, even in death. Anyways, I couldn't stop. Before I knew it, it was 6:30 p.m. Not only did I completely miss lunch, but I was the only one still left in the office. That's when I heard JP's voice in my head. Well, I thought it was in my head, praising me for the edits and notes I'd done so far, encouraging me to finish the pages he'd written so he could continue the ending. My head started to pound. I felt the compulsive need to write burning inside of me. I'd never felt that way before. I turned to a new page in the manuscript, with JP's pen grasped tightly in my hand, and began to write furiously. My hand moved like a planchette across a Ouija board. It seemed to move on its own. Or maybe JP's email was telling the truth and he was using my hands.
You know now it was definitely me using your hands, eh? I had to finish my masterpiece.
Your masterpiece killed people, you arrogant fuck. Over the next few days, it's as if I had become a puppet and JP was pulling the strings. I'd go to work, sit at my desk and write. My hands wrote words that were beyond anything I could write on my own. The Legacy series was coming to life, and I was the vessel through which it was being channeled.
Good, Lucas. Very, very good.
A voice seemed to echo in my mind. JP's voice.
This is exactly how I envisioned it.
But as each day passed, the toll it was taking on me grew. I could feel the energy being drained from my body, the sadistic force willing me to do its bidding, singularly focused on completing the story. My creativity was sapped, my once vibrant, happy life consumed by the ghost of my former client. He was determined to finish his work, come hell or high water. Maybe hell had already come. I was trapped in a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. And the worst part? I couldn't tell anyone about it or I'd look crazy.
Don't you see, Lucas? This is your destiny. This is our destiny.
JP's voice rang in my ears, chilling me to the bone. Then one night, as I sat alone in my apartment hunched over the manuscript, a chilling thought crossed my mind. It was a way out, a desperate plan. But desperation was all I had left.
Your plan was idiotic. You didn't have the balls to go through with it. You never will. We're finishing this, Lucas. It needs to be finished.
I can't be responsible for the death of more innocent people. I won't. As I was saying, if JP needed my hands to write, he wouldn't be able to finish his series without them.
No.
His voice in my head screamed.
You can't do that, Lucas.
It was a horrifying thought. The gruesome idea turned my stomach, but the alternative was to become a shell, a husk of my former self, trapped in this ghostly servitude. My hands started shaking, and I set the golden pen down.
You wouldn't dare.
JP's voice hissed in my mind. I looked at my hands, these tools that served me so well throughout my entire life, and were now betraying me. It was a morbid realization, but one I had to face, so I made a plan.
Your plan failed. Enough of this shit. We have work to do.
Just let me finish this, then I'll do whatever you want. I knew a surgeon, an old friend from college. I called him up and told him that I urgently needed to speak with him in person. We agreed to meet at his private clinic after hours.
You don't want to do this, Lucas.
JP's voice pleaded, but I ignored him. When I arrived, I was shaking. Every cell in my body was telling me to run away, but I knew there was no other way. My friend was shocked at the state I was in, but his reaction was even worse when I told him my horrible idea. At first, he thought I must have been joking, but as he looked into my eyes, he could see my desperation.
What? What are you talking about? I can't do that, Lucas. Have you lost your mind?
He said, voice filled with outrage and concern.
Look, I can't just amputate your hands. It's unethical, not to mention illegal. I could lose my practice. Hell, I could lose my license to practice medicine.
You don't understand, I pleaded with him. I don't have a choice. I can't go on like this. If you won't do it for me, then I'll have to find another way to do it. At least this way, it's medically supervised. We argued for a long time, but ultimately he refused, not willing to risk his license to practice medicine. I got home and collapsed on my couch, falling asleep almost instantly. I woke up hours later, sitting at my desk, staring at the completed manuscript.
I work a lot faster when I have complete control. And what did I tell you to do, Lucas?
Publish it.
I said fucking publish it! Get to the good part!
The day I sent in the final draft and marketing announced the release, the book had over
50 million fucking pre-orders, baby!
It had 120,000 pre-orders, and almost that many deaths in the first month. Admittedly, The book is amazing. It's a novel that doesn't just pull you in, it makes you the main character. You feel every emotion. Your heart breaks. You feel the pain and live the trauma. You see things no one should ever see, and hear things that no one should ever hear. You read it as if it's narrating your whole fucking life, word for word. When you finally finish the book, there's only one thing on your mind. How am I going to end my life? I know this because that's how I felt. That's how even 100,000 people felt.
Because it's the best horror novel ever written. Who needs life after reading of the horrors that will plague your imagination and bury deep into the mind of the reader and consume their every thought? But there's more, Lucas. There's much, much more.
I know there is. I need to tell my story first. When news hit about the death count rising, I attempted to cut my wrists. I sat at my desk watching my vision fade to black when I heard my front door being kicked open. Days later, I found myself lying in my sterile hospital room, the white walls and harsh lights blurring my vision. I looked down at my bandaged arms. I had been saved, but how?
You're welcome for that, by the way. You didn't think I'd actually let my favorite editor die, did you?
I looked around the room with a sense of relief. I thought it was over. I really did. Days went by while laying in the hospital on close watch. I hadn't heard JP's voice inside my head at all in almost a week. I woke up yesterday morning feeling like my old self again. My clothes sat in a plastic bag on the seat across the room. I was being released, but I couldn't bear to go back to my condo, so I arranged for a bag of my personal belongings to be delivered to a hotel. I was planning to leave the city. I wanted to start over in a completely different country and try to forget about the living nightmare that my life had become.
You were so very naive to think that we were done, Lucas.
I know, JP. I know. This morning, I woke up feeling tired and I knew immediately that something was wrong. I looked around the room and there, sitting next to my laptop, something shiny caught my eye. The gold fucking pen. The room suddenly grew cold. An icy chill swept over me, making the hairs on the back of my neck stand on end. I turned my gaze to the laptop screen in horror as I watched it power on by itself. No, I whispered, a sense of dread overwhelming me.
Yes, Lucas. Yes.
The screen flickered to life, illuminating the keyboard. The cursor blinked on a new blank document. And then words started to appear, typed out one by one.
Legacy. The final chapter. Lucas was the senior editor at a major publishing company in New York City. He didn't know it at the time, but the day he got news of his up-and-coming client's death would be the day his life changed. Forever.
I never thought my honeymoon in Ireland would end up as a horror story, but that's exactly what it was. It was a horror story. My wife Amanda and I got married a few years ago. Our families came from all over Canada to watch us tie the knot. It was an absolutely amazing day. Her parents paid for our honeymoon, and initially they had us set up in a suite overlooking the River Liffey in Dublin. I wish we had just said thank you and taken the trip they had already booked, but we both wanted something more quiet. A nice peaceful vacation far away from the hustle and bustle of any major city. Her parents were happy to refund it and let us pick wherever we wanted to go, so we jumped on Airbnb and chose a small farmhouse in the countryside complete with the ruins of a 200-year-old castle. We both loved old stuff like that, so it was a major selling point for that particular property. The place looked perfect. It was exactly what we were hoping for. As soon as we arrived at the gate, we were greeted by the owner, who introduced himself as John. He was a jolly old Irishman, probably mid-60s if I had to guess, with kind, wrinkly eyes and a thick gray and white beard framing a big, welcoming smile. He seemed like a jovial old man, very laid back, easy to talk to, and actually pretty easy to understand. We felt at home as he showed us around the farm, and we were impressed by how beautiful and serene the place was.
That is, until we started making our way to the modest little farmhouse. Then I got an eerie feeling as I looked up and saw a little old woman standing in the window on the second floor, just staring out at us with a blank expression on her face. John saw me notice her and said,
"That's Irish Mammy. You don't have to worry about her. Keeps to herself mostly. That being said, she gets a wooden spoon in her hand and you run like hell, yeah? Not much of a runner, Mammy, but got a good strong whipping wrist on her."
John had a serious look on his face when he said this, but it slowly faded into a smile, followed by a hearty chuckle. Amanda and I awkwardly laughed it off, trying to be polite. We were given a tour of the quaint little home, shown to our room, and John left us to unpack and get settled, letting us know that dinner would be served at 6. That evening, while we were all having dinner by the fireplace, our host told us stories about the local folklore and how the countryside was home to ancient spirits and an Irish demon. Years ago, after the castle was used by generations of the family who built it, it was left to decay. That's when a cult of Satan worshippers started using the estate for ritual sacrifices. People would seemingly vanish into thin air without a trace of existence. We honestly didn't take his tales seriously. Both of us being atheists, we didn't buy into religious nonsense like that. The whole time John talked, Mammy sat quietly in the corner with that same blank stare we'd seen from the window, but now it was more wary. It was as if she was trying to warn us about something, but she was forbidden to. That night, we settled in early to try to shake off the jet lag, but things took a dark turn. Lying in bed, Amanda fell asleep like immediately, but me, I tossed and turned. I couldn't seem to shake the feeling that something wasn't right. At around 3 a.m., I sensed a presence in the room. I opened my eyes to see a shadow lurking in the corner, and there seemed to be a faint chanting coming from somewhere on the property. I shook Amanda awake and we both stared at the ominous figure. As we watched, it started moving towards us. I frantically reached for the light, turning it on to reveal the pale face of Mammy. My new bride screamed in terror as we heard the old woman speak for the first and only time. She said one word, and the memory of it will haunt me for the rest of my life. "Run!" We jumped out of bed, darted around her, and ran from the room, just as the owner was rushing down the hall, pushing past us into the bedroom, and the house went dead silent. After what felt like an eternity, John appeared in the doorway with one hand wrapped around Mammy's shoulder, guiding her out. In his other hand, a wooden spoon. He cocked his head and, in a very ominous tone, he said,
"I did warn you about Mammy and her spoons. I'll see to it this doesn't happen again. You two go on and get some rest. Busy day tomorrow."
Amanda and I debated on calling a cab right then and getting the hell off that farm. We talked ourselves down and decided just to brave through the night and make our exit the next day. When morning came, it brought with it a dark fog rolling over the hills. And to make things worse, Amanda was like totally out of it and extremely pale. I told John that we had to leave. I tried to make up some family emergency. He cut me off and explained,
"Until this fog clears, you're not going anywhere, I'm afraid. The road up this way is next to impossible when you can't see 3 inches from your face."
The day only got stranger. The once friendly old man took on an evil essence. As the day grew to night, my wife just got worse and worse, in and out of sleep, burning up. I left the room to find John to get her some help, but he was nowhere to be seen. That's when I heard the same chanting from the prior night, but it was loud. It was coming from the second floor. I rushed back to our room and found it locked, so I began kicking it until it broke free from its hinges. There, dressed in a black and red robe, was John, now looking completely different. His gray beard now jet black, the wrinkles on his face were non-existent. He was young. It looked like he wasn't any more than 30 years old. He turned to face me as he finished his incantation with a smile on his face. And what I saw next was horrifying. I can only explain it as it was like my wife melted or imploded even into a fountain of blood, and then she was gone. It was all gone. It was as if she had been sucked into another dimension, and that's when my vision went black. I was found by a truck driver the next day walking down a dusty country road and was brought to the hospital. I tried to explain what happened to the authorities, but they didn't believe me. They told me that there was no Airbnb in that area. In fact,
the farm I claimed we were on had been abandoned for over 100 years. They explained that I had been in an accident and was just experiencing trauma. They told me I had come to Ireland alone, and there was no record of my wife ever being on the plane with me. I called everyone I knew, but no one remembered her. Her parents had no idea who I was or what I was talking about. They said that they never even had a daughter. It was like she was just a figment of my imagination. It wasn't until years later that I learned the truth. The owner was an Irish demon who preyed on unsuspecting young tourists looking for a quiet getaway. He steals the life they have left to keep for himself, so he can live forever. He sacrificed my wife and used dark magic to erase any evidence of her existence. It's a horror story I'll never forget and no one will ever remember. So this serves as a warning to anyone venturing to the Irish countryside. Beware of the folklore, because it's all way too fucking real.